Hi there, good evening. Welcome to Open Exchange TV live coverage from COP27. So today we have Joachim Monkelbaan, who's an observer status in the blue zone in the COP. Joachim, welcome to the Open Exchange TV live discussion. So tell me something about your background. Thank you.
My background is that I've been studying globalization, trade and investment and also climate change for the past 20 years.
Yeah.
I have a PhD in environmental science and governance for the Sustainable Development Goals.
Yep, sorry, that was a flight.
And I've been working with government, with the law firms, with NGOs, with think tanks, universities, and currently with the World Economic Forum on the linkages between climate and trade and also climate and investment.
Interesting. So, Joachim, you've been here for almost a week, right? I mean, you're observing a lot of discussions, meeting a lot of people, exploring partnerships in the Blue Zone. What have been your key takeaways? I mean, we still have another one more week to go for the COP to get finished. But since last 1 week, what have been your observations, like key observations? Yeah.
I think there's two narratives that we see that are increasingly at odds with each other.
Yeah.
So on the one hand, you have this narrative of globalization, of international collaboration, of partnership, and that really understands that in order to solve a global problem like climate change, you need global solutions. You need to think global, but you need to act local.
Yeah.
And if you look at technology development, at investment, you need to have international collaboration for that to take that off. If we imagine that all the countries have to develop all their technologies, all their investment flows, everything on their own, I don't think we will get there. On the other hand, we have this increasing narrative that is getting louder by the day, and that's calling for decoupling of economies, of reshoring industries, of friendshoring, and this is really a narrative of fragmentation. So business and other stakeholders, they're trying to find their way between those two narratives because business is looking for stability, for transparency, for common standards. So what we try to do is to enable business to contribute, to make a solution together with other stakeholders.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Joachim. So my next question would be, compared to last year's COP in Glasgow to this year in Sharm el-Sheikh, and we're heading to COP28 in Dubai next year, do you think, are we delivering those promises, what the Paris Agreement promised compared to Glasgow? I mean, today is an adaptation day. I mean, are we adapting, implementing? Where do you think we're heading to, I mean, compared to last year?
I think overall we're moving far too slow. We know that we need to move 5 times faster, for example, on renewable energy development and on emission reductions. I also see that there's kind of a decoupling going on from the negotiations themselves in the UNFCCC. And also this whole fair, you could say trade fair almost, that is happening around COP with all the exhibitions, with the pavilions. And in the pavilions and exhibitions, very few people are actually following the negotiations and are talking about the negotiations. So I think what has been a watershed moment is Glasgow in this sense, where there are a lot of partnerships were launched, a lot of pledges were launched. Of course, we need to implement those pledges. That is super important. But also the negotiations, they need to go also through this evolution. There was a proposal a few years ago to have permanent negotiations in Bonn. If you compare, for example, the climate negotiations with the trade, the WTO World Trade Organization negotiations, then we see that the WTO negotiations are much more professionalized, that they are permanent negotiations. Negotiators, they know each other, they meet every day. And that they can really go into depth. Whereas the climate negotiations, they take place 2, maybe 3 times a year. People need to start all over from scratch whenever they meet again. Often people are changing, so they are all new to the process. So that's why the process is moving very slowly, first of all. Secondly, the whole mode of negotiating, where negotiators come to the table with a set mandate, it's difficult to really call that a negotiation where there's a give and take. Another difference between the trade and the climate negotiations is that in the trade negotiations you talk about goodies that you want to have, concessions, benefits that you want to negotiate for and to get. Whereas in the climate negotiations it's much more about burden sharing. and very few countries want to take more burden.
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
it's more about an avoidance of burden and putting the burden somewhere else than getting goodies and synergizing and collaborating.
I think collaboration is the key, right? I mean, that's the only way to do it. Now, what do you think? My final question: what is a big idea to take away from this COP, or do you think what big idea will emerge from this COP discussions by next week this time?
I think the big takeaway is that we have a potential gap. So we have all the finance available. There's a lot of capital that wants to flow into climate action.
Yeah.
We have the technology available. We have the latest technologies to decarbonize.
Yeah.
So we have the capital available, we have the technologies available, but what some people would say is that we still have the brain of a reptile or an amphibian. We have the institutions from the Middle Ages, but we have godlike technology. So there's a gap between our human nature and the way that we can mobilize all these good things that we have at our hands and mobilize them for the common good and for the climate good. So whether it's in climate change, whether it's in poverty reduction, whether it's in public health care. So this is why we are facing multiple crises, I think, and the different crises that we have, the economic crisis, the environmental crisis, the health crisis, they're all interrelated. We cannot see them apart from each other. And again, this is the potential gap that we have, because we have all those beautiful, modern, materialistic things, you could say, at our hands. But our spiritual development has not kept up with that, utilizing all those goods for the common good. So it's a matter of mindset, as some people would say. It's a matter of spiritual development. It's a matter of ethical development. It's a matter of education. So we, as humans, what we need, I think, is to move in unity to work on those issues. And without a sense of unity and a recognition of our common humanity, wherever we are from, if we do not get together and use our love for humanity, use our understanding, and use especially our will to move on, then this will be very difficult. And I think the climate crisis will offer an opportunity to establish this unity of humanity.
Definitely, that sounds good. So, Joachim, I mean, Open Exchange TV audience mainly consists of fund managers, investment managers, advisors, financial advisors, of course, family offices, and all those players within this financial services industry. Do you have any strong message since you're leading on the climate side of the things, and I mean, you're also part of these negotiations. You're seeing a lot of gaps out there. I mean, what message would you like to give to our Open Exchange TV audience? That one key takeaway.
I would say try to see the bigger picture. Try to look holistically, have a systemic approach. Look at the whole pipeline of investment. It's not just about having the capital available, it's about making the capital flow to the ground, for example, to smallholder farmers. And work with your partners to de-risk the capital, the investment, build on absorptive capacity for the investment, and leverage your investment. So
more into sustainability investing and
leverage the small, even if you have a limited amount, you can use it to unlock more private finance. Because you can do that, for example, by de-risking private finance, leveraging private finance, offering guarantees and covering risks, including R&D risks, currency risks and other risks that are currently involved, because 95% of ESG investment is staying in North America and Europe. We need to make sure that 5%, only 5% now, that is going to emerging markets and to developing countries needs to increase massively.
And especially Africa.
Especially Africa, because they have the opportunity to leapfrog. So we actively need to think about how we can up that and scale up that investment in developing economies.
Developing countries as well.
To capture that potential for leapfrogging. That's super important.
Sure. So Joachim, thanks a lot for coming over, and much appreciated. And I look forward to speaking to you soon again, and hopefully we'll meet in the next COP again in Dubai.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye.